Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Chloe Carmichael and welcome to the High Functioning Hotspot. Today my guest is a very accomplished woman. Her name is Galit Bar-Tal. She is the CEO and co-founder of Big Wipes, which is a global wipes company, as the name implies, with annual revenues of about $20 million, which I am so impressed, I have to say. Moreover, Galit started this company when she was 30 years old with 2 children and had her 3rd child 1 year after starting this company that, she grew to $20 million. And I just want to share a little background on this call, which is that poor Galit didn't even know I was going to spring it on her, that she was going to be a guest on the High Functioning Hotspot. So I am in the Entrepreneurs Organization, which has a minimum annual revenue of $1 million to join, which for me, I just thought was so exciting that I had $1 million and, but then I learned about Galit's 20 million and, all I can say is, wow. But anyway, so in Entrepreneurs Organization, they put us in these little small groups called forums, and just the 7 of you, and usually 7, whatever. And mine is, from EO members from all over the world. There are 7 of us, and we meet every month and we talk about our businesses and our personal life challenges. And one of the things that I was sharing about in the forum myself was what it's like for me as a business person and a mother to a young boy, and how I'm just trying to find my way sometimes and figure out, like, what do I really want? What makes me happy? How do I want to balance my time? And so Galit, because she's a little further along than I am and had a lot of wisdom to share, she just very kindly reached out to me and said, I'd be happy to connect with you and just share, my experiences about how I did that. And I said, thank you, Galit. I would love to do that. So we met on Zoom. And then I was like, hey, by the way, do you mind if I record this and put it out there for the High Functioning Hotspot? And Galit was very gracious and said she would do that. And you might hear that we say something in there about how we're going to talk about writing later, and then we don't. That's because we just ended up having that conversation off camera. But it was just a very relaxed, open conversation that I thought, especially those of you who either are a mother or are thinking about motherhood and who are also, blessed to have a career that you love. I just thought it would be an interesting conversation to capture and to share. So I hope that you enjoy it. Sorry, I just want to say one more thing, which is that for either of you are a mother, or if you know a mother, right? Or if you want to be a mother, if you're just curious about women in motherhood and business, which I think is a pretty interesting topic these days. So anyway, I hope you all enjoy it.
It was more about writing rather than business, about kids. But as we spoke about it, I thought we would just be clear about it.
Yeah, well, I would love to talk to you about writing as well, but I really am so curious just to learn, Galit, your perspective about motherhood. And I just have a few kind of thoughts and questions, but maybe you could even explain about yourself as a business person, because I don't think I really fully know the highlights. So my podcast is called the High Functioning Hotspot, and I interview high functioning, intelligent, driven people. But then I kind of go a little deeper and talk about, some of their personal, I'm curious about how a woman like you does, or, did when you were having kids, think about them as when they were younger. So do you mind just sharing about yourself and your businesses, including all the great revenues, and go ahead and brag so that the listeners will know that they're listening to somebody that carries some weight?
And so you already started, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, I will turn it off if you want, but I mean, I would love to know these things from you, but you don't have to.
No problem.
Yeah.
So actually, I started the business when I had a kid that was about 1.5 years, which was really hard, because what the business is all about is that we are manufacturing of wet wipes for industrial use, and we are shipping them abroad. So we're not selling anything in Israel, and all the business is outside the country, which means that most of my time I had to fly a lot and to build a business abroad, to meet customers, to set partners. And we are a global company, so we have distribution partner in the UK who sells to the European countries, and we have another company in the USA which we set a few years ago. Our brand called Big Wipes, and it's a very known brand in the industrial market, in the European market. We are building it in the States, and we are actually build it by, we are two partners in Israel, a business partner of mine and myself, and we build it from scratch. So the business is a great business. And when I had the kids, which is the topic of our discussion, my feeling was that I can do all of it, but it, of course, it takes a lot of your energy. You find yourself prioritizing just kids and business. You don't have any time for yourself, for
kids, business, and marriage. Kids,
and marriage.
business, and marriage. Yes,
for sure.
I know.
But I think that at the early stage, when the kids are so young, sometimes the marriage even becomes a bit less taking the time to, because you feel the kids need you more than the marriage at that particular time. But I do feel that becoming a businesswoman and growing myself contributed so much to my marriage at the later stages, because we always have something in common to talk about. My husband is also a CEO of a company that engaged in the water technology, and we both run companies, so we have so much to talk about and to share and to discuss, and this keeps both of us in the same level. And if I would have just decide to withdraw my business and just become only mother, I think I would have missed this at the stages when the kids grow up and became more independent. So at that time, I think what I decided to prioritize is the kids, not even the house, not decorating the house, not taking care of anything in the house. I took outside sourcing to do the laundries, to clean the house, to whatever needed. When I was at home, I was with the kids. And that gave me kind of a peace of mind that I'm a good mother as well as I'm a good business person.
Of course, Galit, of course. I mean, I think that you can be a good mother and, work full time. You can be a good mother and not have a job outside the home. I think that there's so many examples. I don't think it's a one size fits all model by any stretch. And so I'm so thankful, truly, that you're letting me interview you and ask you these questions. I just honestly think you have so much treasure to share that I just want to record it. But,
No problem.
So I'm curious then, if you don't mind sharing then a couple of questions about that business, like how did you come to start a wet wipes business? And do you mind sharing, your current global revenues? It sounds really exciting.
So actually we started, it was kind of an opportunity. I joined a different company, but with the same person who became my partner as an employee. And at that time we were making projects with the business of the plastic industry. And at a certain time, a company, and we had another subsidiary in the UK. At a certain time, the main company that worked with us came to us and asked to buy the company in the UK. And because they went to the stock market and they wanted to show that they are holding both the manufacturing and the marketing means. So we actually had kind of an opportunity to start something new. And we made kind of we called it a smart people meeting. Kind of, we brought some people that we really thought they have good ideas, and we made a list of new businesses, new projects that can be made. And I remember I met a person who was in the wipe business of baby wipes. And together we started to talk about what can we do for the DIY, do-it-yourself market, which was our main market at the time. And we came up with the idea of making something that cleans paint, adhesive, PU foam, things that are hard to remove from your hands and from surfaces. And I brought this idea. It was number 13 on the list. So we went over all the projects, and when we got to the number 13, people were so tired. And I said, hey, what about my idea, the number 13? And they said, okay, so what do you want to do? I said, this is a perfect idea because we can control everything from the beginning, when you buy the raw material, you produce it, until they bring it to the market. So I really like the idea. And nobody thought like me, but they said, okay, if you want, just do it. And what I did, I took the other guy, and we made kind of the prototypes. And we called a friend in Germany and asked him to be part of his booth in Germany in one of the exhibitions for the DIY market. And it was a hit. Actually, people didn't know what it is, but they really liked it. We did a lot of demonstrations. We really showed how it cleans. And
I want big wipes. This sounds awesome. Yeah.
I'll send you some. So we really went to, we got about, I think it was that time, about 400,000 euros orders. It was in Deutschmark at that time. But so we came back home and we said, wow, we now need a structure, we need a company, we need to set it up. And that's how it started. So at the beginning, first years, we did this via other products as well. We did also the plastic things that we did before. And after a year or two, we decided to drop everything out. We set a mutual company. My partner actually said, okay, you brought the idea, you made the company, so let's make you the CEO and become a partner at that. And we actually started at that time. Later on, we set a new company in the UK, and a few years after, we set another one in the USA. So we are selling mostly in Europe. We sell also in Australia, New Zealand, and North America.
And what are your revenues like?
So it's a private company, so it's not a very big one. But we are in about, today, I'm trying to think dollar-wise, about 20 million. 20 million?
Galit, wow. And you think that's not very big, huh?
It's,
wow, I don't know what sandbox you're playing in, Galit, but 20 mil sounds pretty big to me. Do you ever think about going into YPO then instead of EO?
No, I didn't think about it. Huh. EO is great, perfect place for me. It's combines what I need, and
I love EO. Yeah. YPO has the minimum 10 million revenue, which I'm not even close to. So to me, it's not even really an option. So that's congratulations though. But I'm curious, Galit, at that time, you were building the business and you had 2 kids, you said, and then you had the third one a year later. And how many hours were you working at that time? And was that hard in terms of being a mother?
It's always hard. You always feel that you have guilt feeling a bit. But as I said, what we did is that we are equal partners at home. So I came home once a week early. My spouse came home once a week early. We had 2 mothers that really helped us and came once a week to be with the grandchildren. And once a week we took outside help to take them out from kindergartens. And when they grew up a bit more, we took some help from a bit early stage, and I changed it. I came once a week to eat lunch with them and get back to work. You know, you find the combination to be able to meet them but still do your work. I think that if it was today, I would have done at Corona time. Actually, showed us that you can work also from home, so, and still be with them. And I didn't do it at that time because it was really not very much popular. But I think it's a good idea for young generation mom that
You know,
can
that it's an
combine.
interesting one, working from home. I've done it, you know, with a little one, and you know, it has its pluses in a way because, you know, just obviously you're home, and the little ones, they can literally smell you, right? They just know when you're home, and so that's good. But I will say for me, it was almost sometimes more, and for me, just I've scaled back my work a lot in the last year or two, since I've just really realized for me, I wanted to be there more. And part of that realization came from being home, um and just I almost felt like the grapes of Tantalus, you know, were like right in front of me, and I could see him and I could hear him, and the sight of him playing with the nanny in my house, I felt like another woman was living my life, you know what I mean? And I just kind of had this, like, for the first year or two when he was an infant, it wasn't that frankly big of a deal to me. Like, I was happy to be out with my laptop at a bar writing my book, because I'm a very verbal person. But now that he's able to, we're having conversations, you know, for me, it's become very different. Also, you mentioned that you have 3 kids. I'm only having one. So I think there's this part of me that really just like wants to savor every single moment, because I know I'm not getting another shot. But with your husband, you mentioned this too, and you know, as always, you don't have to, I'll ask any questions, you know,
Go
so
ahead.
you can decline any question. But you said that your husband, and you are very egalitarian at home. And I'm asking this because I know a lot of the women who listen to the High Functioning Hotspot are very driven people, and they're very successful people. Um, and then of course they're navigating that when it comes to a marriage with a husband, and they don't always want to feel totally egalitarian. Some of them do. Some of them still feel like they want a man who feels like a leader to them in the relationship. Do you mind sharing, Galit, for yourself as a CEO of a $20 million company? You know, what does that look like? What do you like in that department?
I feel that I was looking for an equal partner. You can't make a business and become independent if you don't see yourself as an equal partner at home. And my partner at home, we actually think the same the way. And he always said that he has no problem if I bring more money than he does, or you know, most of the years when the kids were young, I was traveling around and he was at home with them at nights and so on. It changed about a bit later because he was also started to travel abroad, and I stayed at home. So we really took care of each other's business and careers and time, and as well making things. When we go and make a dinner, Friday dinner, all the family comes to us usually. We do it together. So we
Mm-hmm.
both take care of the dishes and cook together. Um, we I mean, I think that he does more than I do actually at the house. I have to say it. It's not that we never spoke about it. It was like whoever had the time made laundry, whoever had the time went to do something else. And since, as I said before, I was very interested to be more time, spend more time with the kids. So actually, if there was something to do, usually he took more responsibility about that. We even, I have to say, we even built a mutual surname together. So when we got married, so we have a new one. For me, I think that starting the discussion, it wasn't a real discussion. We never talked about it, but it was very clear to me and to him that we both want to grow and to leverage whatever we have from life and from ourselves. And in order to do that, we have to support each other. So it was, you cannot support each other if one is doing a career and the other one is just spending time at home. And the kids belongs to both of us. So both of us needs to want to spend time with them and needs to spend time with them and to try to make the most of it. I understand, I do not understand, but I do kind of know that we as mothers have more kind of feeling that we really want them to be secured and to have everything they need. And this is kind of how we built from. So what I can say to everybody who listens is that the time that I spent with them and the attention that I gave them, and they are old today, actually allowed me to become a very good, to have a very good relationship with each and every one of them. They always knew that I'm there to support them, that I'm there to help them, that they're not alone. They actually had everything they needed and they felt that way. And it's not the time, not the amount of time that I spent with them, it's the quality of the time and the fact that in each and every step of the day, they could have raised the phone and tell me that they need me, and I would leave everything and come back to them and help them. So they felt secured, even though I wasn't in every kind of football game, maybe, but I was always in the very important part of their lives. So they knew it.
Well, clearly. And how old are your children now?
My eldest is 27, and the second one is 24, and the young one is almost 20.
Okay. And then one more question about that, about your children and motherhood and business. And then I know you said you want to talk about writing. We can shift to that, but just one more question. So you had said, you know, that they did get that sense of security that I do believe that, you know, I believe mothers and fathers, you know, just kind of bring something different to the table. And I know that's almost a controversial thing to say in today's world right now, but I just personally think mothers and fathers bring different things to the table. And I think both are really important and special and valuable. I don't think one is more valuable than the other, but I just think that they're different. So I agree with you that as a mom, you wanted to provide that and that your children got that from you, which is great. But I know you also said that at certain times that they protested or that they sometimes wanted more. How did you handle those conversations, if you don't mind sharing what they looked like?
Yes, I think that they really wanted more. I don't remember a specific conversation, but it was part of what they needed. It was either more time with me or with, so I could have taken a day off and and take time to be with them, okay, one-on-one. So I did address special needs and requests if it was part of what they needed. I moved my company very close to home. Actually, it's 10 minutes drive. So if really needed, I really was there. And if something happened, it wasn't so hard to get there and to help them. But I think that as everything in life, they didn't get 100% of what they wanted. I think that if they could have choose, they probably wanted me to be there all the time. Just in a certain amount of time, they have their own life as well. You know, they want to spend time with their friends. They want to go to all kinds of, dancing or football or whatever things that they want to do. And I think that it gave them also the opportunity to spend time with their grandparents versus with me. So it was another thing they got, and another type of relationship they built, which I think it's very important. So today I can tell you that my eldest daughter, she every weekend she spends time with their grandparents, even if we are not at home. And that's kind of a relationship she had the chance to build because maybe they were very involved in her growing up.
So true, so lovely that you all had two grandmas who would come over every
and
week.
Two grandfathers as well. Don't miss them.
Wow. Okay. I think in our conversation, I thought you had mentioned the grandmothers, but maybe you said grandparents.
It was,
yeah.
did.
Well, that's excellent. I mean, everyone has these different ecosystems, and my husband and I didn't really have that option. So for us, we had a live-in au pair for the first, couple of years. And, I realized what a privilege that is for me that I was able to have that. But at the same time, yeah, like there came a point where I just felt like a switch flipped and I was like, wait a minute, that woman is living my life. I need her out and I need to scale back my work and I need to, be doing that. But I don't know if I would have felt that way, Galit, if, that had been the grandma or the grandpa. That might have been a very different experience of just saying, wow, there's so much, love and value add when I step away to do my thing. My son is just with his grandparents learning about his culture and his history and his family, legacy, such beautiful stuff. So that's nice that you had that option and that you made good use of it. So
Yeah.
Thank you again for sharing with me, Galit, about that. And if you wanted to talk about the writing, I didn't know that, but I'm happy. Did you want to ask me questions or share something from yourself about it?
I actually wanted to ask you a question, but I want to share something else about the motherhood because I think that one of the things that I engage with is a negotiation. And when I actually studied it and was very much engaged in it, I had some idea about what we are built from and the way that we see ourselves. In tough conversations, you always have to identify that who are you actually, and what do you see as your main identity. And sometimes when we talk, and I can say something very very unimportant, and it will very much offend you because I actually touched something that was related to your identity, your true, the way you see yourself. Okay. And I thought about that a bit, about the differences between us as mothers and fathers, as you mentioned before. I think culture actually also built us with expectations. So we grew up with expectation to spend a lot of time with our kids, as actually says it's a good motherhood. And I see myself as a good mother. That's my identity type. I also see myself as a good businessman or a good career. I see myself as an honest person. Okay, we are actually a complex of a lot of things. It's not just one thing. But it's the same thing when we see ourselves as a very that it's important for us to keep our houses very clean. So if let's say somebody visit your house, okay, so usually it's more important for the women that the house will be clean and neat and looks great than the man. Am I right?
I don't know. I mean, that's an interesting question. I think women are usually the ones doing the domestic work. So I feel like if we see a messy house, we might be more sympathetic. I don't know if men, notice it. And I don't know. That's an interesting question, Galit. I don't know.
So actually what I thought is that for me, I tried to maybe make my identity, work on my identity and say, domestic house is not my own, um, type of responsibility. It's hard to do it because culture of so many years of culture taught all of us that this is our responsibility. And if it doesn't look good, so we are not a perfect person. Same thing is about, I think, motherhood and business and everything. We always have to find a balance, but we don't need to, as much as I see it, to just decide to do only one thing in order to be the perfect at that, because our identity is built from so many other stuff as well. And as much as we remember it and try to not to quiet the other parts of us, but to let it be, but still find the balance, I think we are a whole person, or in a way we find a kind of more balanced way.
Well,
I
Galit,
hope you understood what I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, I really admire you for, I think, just being very strategic and methodical about recognizing that something's got to give, right? And that if domestic labor, was just kind of the thing, cleaning the house, where you're just like, you know what, I could free up a lot of time and energy by just outsourcing that. And so if that, makes you happy, I'm really glad. Truly, I'm all about people just recognizing that life is always a little bit about trade-offs. And so if we just be clear about what they are, a very wise decision.
Yes, I think I wasn't so clear about this, but that's good enough. I think about, I was more talking about identities, because I think that when we are aware of what we want our identity to be, we are more able to recognize what part we want to give to each of the parts we are built from. Okay.
Oh, I agree with you. I do. And I didn't mean to seem, like I missed that part. I think you're right that certainly as women, that we can have components of our identity that we can get caught up in. And part of that might include being a, domestic goddess, like for some of us that had that desire, just being able, to choose, either I'm going to recognize that I can still have the good mother identity, even if I don't do all of my housework, or
Yes.
even saying, maybe the domestic goddess part of my identity is one that I wish I could have and I like it, but it's not as important as the good mother or the sharp business person. And so that's the one I'm going to let go.
Exactly.
But,
What
either,
I'm saying, you can't
yeah.
have it all, so you have to decide which part you are not living, but at least give a bit more. And also motherhood, you can say, my kid has to be perfect. He has to become the most important person in life, and I would give everything to make him become. And my strategy was, I want my kids to become what they want to be, and I want my kids to be happy with what they choose. So I don't want them to live my life, and I don't want to build my life building them to live whatever I want it to be. So they can actually choose if they want to study a first degree or not. It's not that I would like to push them to do something that will make me a better mother as my identity. I hope you understand what I'm saying.
Oh,
And
certainly. I think as parents, we can, live vicariously through our kids and have them as like an extension of our social identity. And, to a certain degree, their success is a reflection of our success. But
yes,
I also think, that their autonomy is a reflection of our own, good parenting as well. So that's really great on all accounts, Galit, that that it worked out that way. I hope I have the same good fortune. I mean, my son is only 4, and I still do love to actually like do a lot of the housework myself. Like I just love it. Like I love, taking care of
perfect.
my house. And I know it sounds weird, and I
No, it's
swear
not.
to me it is, even because for years, like I said, I had a live-in housekeeper. Like I just, I never wanted to do anything domestic. and then like a little switch flipped. So it may flip back again. Who knows?
Yeah.
We'll see.
True.
I just want to say thank you again for sharing with me, Galit, about your incredible business and motherhood and how you found the right path for you.
Thank you.
Wow, that was such an interesting conversation with Galit. I'm so thankful that she took the time to share with me. I think one of my biggest takeaways from her was the way that she was just very strategic and methodical. And for her, it was, domestic work and, kind of the work that we do at home to, for me, again, it's one of those things where I actually feel like I imbue my home kind of with myself, like through doing those things. But I fully appreciate that every person is different, and I'm not building a $20 million business. Like, so, maybe I should follow Galit's path. Honestly, that's truly impressive. And I know that she, and I'm sure her children, learned a lot and really admire the work she's done. I know I certainly do. So I hope that you enjoyed. And if you do want to share this episode, I'd certainly appreciate it. But I'd also love to just hear from you. Like, if you want to share with me what your mom's work-life balance was like, or, like how your, spouse handles it or how you handle it. Anything. This is a topic I'm just really interested in. So if you want to share with me on social media or just connect with me in general on social media, I'm always doing live streams and, connecting with people. It's just what I love to do. So I'm Dr. Chloe Carmichael, the High Functioning Hotspot. Thank you so much for listening.